Let's begin with news coming in of anti-Israel protests that broke out in the national capital outside the Israel embassy. This is the SFI which staged a protest near the Israel embassy in support of Palestine. Amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, heavy security, as you see on your screens, was also deployed because permission for the same wasn't provided. This is also a high security area where most of your embassies are located, so any sort of gathering isn't really allowed. Aishwarya Paliwal is joining us live from outside the Israel embassy in the national capital. Aishwarya, it's over to you. What's the situation currently? We understand that there was no permission given for this protest.
Well, Akshita, as you rightly pointed out, this in fact is the VVIP area, and the students had turned up in large numbers, and not just the students, the police personnel too. This in fact is the main circle where we are standing barely 300 meters away. The students now being detained and being taken into the buses, barely 300 meters, Akshita, away from the Israeli embassy. The children are saying that it is the youngest who in fact have been suffering the most because of the war, and they're also speaking about the bombing of a hospital in Gaza. So those were the main issues because of which we saw students in large numbers. And to make sure that the situation does not go out of control, behind me you see the police personnel there making sure that they pick up each and every protesters. The buses there, Akshita, the buses now full with students. They have been detained now, and from what we understand, in the next couple of minutes the entire area will be cleared off. The students, however, saying that the world now needs to come together because it is the children on both the sides which are suffering the most. The world leaders, according to these students, need to come together and to make sure that the war is contained as soon as possible.
These are SFI protesters who have in fact gathered there outside the Israeli embassy in the national capital. Aishwarya remains to be stays with us at this point. Aishwarya, were these protesters allowed to stage any sort of agitation? We understand it happened near the Israel embassy. Were they immediately taken away?
Barely, the police now, Akshita, asking us also to move away from the place. No permission was given, and that's the reason why we did see that when the students turned up in large numbers, the police personnel, the security forces, Akshita, were ready in full force. Just, a glimpse of the number of police personnel will tell you the kind of VVIP area that this is and how ready the force was to make sure that the situation does not go out of control. The SFI students, the students, from SFI and also from other colleges also had turned up in large numbers. There were posters, there were banners. The embassy is on the other side, Akshita, barely 300 meters away from where I'm standing. But this, in fact, is a VVIP area, and that's the reason why we are seeing the security here. The water cannons, too, had been put up in place just in case the situation goes out of control. The students now have been detained, Akshita, but they believe that this is a war which needs to be contained as soon as possible.
Give us a sense of really the scale of this agitation that was planned, Aishwarya. How many people really gathered? And these are dramatic images that we're showing to you right now of people who came fully prepared, by the way, for this protest. They had placards with them. They started marching dramatically towards the Israel embassy only to be detained. Give us a sense of how many people really were there.
Close to 150 students, Akshita, which says a lot, which also speaks about the fact that the student community actually knows what's taking place. They are saying that the kind of bombing that took place in Gaza, the kind of images that are coming out, and the death toll, Akshita, we all know is only rising. More than 4,000 people from the Palestine side have lost their life, and more than 2,000 Israelis have also lost their life. This is a war which began on the 7th of October, still going on close to 17 days of the war. The students now believe that the time is right for the world leaders to come together and also looking at the plight of the children, and that's the reason why the youth got together, the students got together. Some of them also had images, with them of the children and the kind of harassment that children are now undergoing. All of them onto the streets, also requesting our Prime Minister, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to step up and to speak with both the sides, because the students believe that what will happen is that the lives of millions of children obviously is at stake, and going forward also it will become extremely difficult for them. A lot of children, we understand, Akshita, have lost their parents. So all those things should not continue. That's the reason why in the VVIP area, along with all the security forces here, you saw the students clashing with the security personnel, wanting to reach the Israel embassy. They were stopped, they were detained. The buses now have been taken to the nearest police station. Akshita.
All right, Aishwarya, thanks very much for joining us with those details. These protesters, almost hundreds of them who gathered marching towards the Israel embassy, have all been detained. An anti-Israel, pro-Palestine protest that they attempted to stage there.